Welcome to another episode of the Velvet Hammer.
And here we go.
Of the first one.
No.
Tell us the first story.
Stop.
Do it.
Come on.
Okay, all right. The ACLU has filed a class action, and they have identified representative plaintiffs. And the first story is about a gentleman by the name of Mubashir Khalif Hussein. And he is a 20-year-old Somali-American U.S. citizen who works in mental health services in Minneapolis. What happened to him is that he was tackled, put in a headlock, dragged into an SUV, and taken to an ICE field office, despite repeatedly telling the ICE agents that he's a citizen, has proof, and then was pepper sprayed at a protest while filming from a sidewalk at a later time.
Okay. And this class action is focused on Minnesota.
Yes, it's brought in federal court in Minnesota by Somali and Latino U.S. citizens and immigrants.
And I didn't know this, but Minnesota has the largest population of Somali people from Somalia or people from Somalia in the United States.
That's right.
It's about almost 70,000, 78,000, something like that.
Yeah.
And the Latino population is about 388,000.
Yeah.
And all of the people that they brought this on behalf of are U.S. citizens, either born here or...
No, the complaint involves not only U.S. citizens, but also immigrants.
Okay, and the reason for the complaint is because how are the ICE agents interacting with these people to begin with?
Well, the challenge is a mass racially targeted ICE operation called the Operation Metro Surge.
Okay, so pause.
Yeah.
Racial profiling.
Yeah.
Good thing, bad thing.
That's a bad thing.
And why is that?
Because it is prohibited under the Equal Protection Clause.
And why are we doing it?
Why are we doing it? I don't know. I mean, you want me to say the obvious?
I mean, excuse me, but is our tax money going to pay for ICE agents?
Yes.
Okay,
Mike?
so...
Mike,
it is.
help me here.
So our money is funding this operation that is engaged in racial profiling.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
These are funded, tax-paid agents of the federal government that are racially profiling people to effectuate Operation Metro Surge.
So racial profiling works like this. That person looks like they could be a illegal alien, because that's the language that they're going to use. They look like they could be an illegal alien, and therefore we should go talk to them or stop them or search them or throw them in jail. That's how it works. Just by pure
By visual cues.
By
yeah,
visual.
usually.
Or, in my case, which has happened before, you walk up and you hand your passport, and they're smiling, and they look down and they go, Muhammad, and then they go, ooh. And I've seen that one. That one's a good one.
Yeah.
Where they go like, oh. And then they look down and they go, ooh. And they go, oh. And then there's this moment like,
Okay. So we're talking about the mass racial profiling of, in this case, people in Minnesota. And then, so they racial profile, and then what? What's the next? Is that it? Is that the end of the lawsuit?
No, what they're asking, what they're saying is that the core allegation is that there was statements made by the executive in 2025, like late 2025, that called Somalis "quote unquote" garbage.
Wait,
By the executive, what do you mean? Go ahead and say it.
Would that be
Say
our
it.
elected, the president that most of the people that voted for, who we also are paying with taxpayer money?
So, yes,
That one?
Yes.
Wait, but going back to, so number one is racial profiling.
Yeah.
But number two is what? I mean, because you can racial profile, like, right? Is that illegal if it's not accompanied by action?
No.
I don't know if it is by federal law, It is in some states.
Well, what I'm saying is people can look at you. I mean, it's the whole prototypical thing. If you're walking down the street late at night and there's someone else walking towards you who is of a different race, and you move to the other side of the street because, right?
Well,
but
that could be
two
anything.
things,
If somebody
right?
feels afraid
But
when
here-
they're out at night, that doesn't necessarily mean it's racial profiling.
Okay, but number one is if you don't go to the other side of the street and you
Yeah.
just make that judgment, that's one thing. If you go to the other side of the street, that's action. So what I'm saying is, doesn't there need to be action with the racial profiling for there to be an issue? And what is that action that we are looking at
Okay,
here?
so which is the claims? There's an unreasonable seizure under the Fourth Amendment. That's one claim. There's violation of federal immigration arrest statute. That's another claim.
Is that the USC one?
Yeah, and then there's an equal protection claim. That's just racial discrimination. And then there's just an administration claim that this is just animus.
Okay, why do
towards
you, do these people have warrants?
No, they don't have one.
And what is a warrant?
A warrant is permission signed by a judge
Do they
to
need it?
take somebody into custody or to search somebody's property.
And is there an exception that for ICE agents, they do not need to have warrants?
There is, well, there's a statute which allows, so to be clear, there are administrative warrants sometimes. An administrative warrant is a warrant not signed by a judge, but signed by an administrative official, and ICE does have authority to execute administrative warrants to arrest people who they know are subject to a removal order, meaning they have to be removed from the country, but they're still here. They have authority under that statute to go find that person, put them into custody, and then remove them from the country.
Okay.
And they
But-
also have authority if they saw somebody walking down the street
Yeah.
and they had reasonable suspicion that they were an immigrant, illegal immigrant, they have the right to stop them and ask for identification.
That's right. And that was because the Supreme Court just said, hey, look, I mean, most of the undocumented people from this country are brown. Therefore, it follows that you can stop and ask brown people for their identification. And that kind of racism is tolerable. It's okay. Because they got to do their jobs. How else are they going to do their jobs? So that was a court ruling that just came out where ICE agents were walking up to parking lots where people gather to look for day labor work and just mass stopping people.
Well,
So-
the
go ahead.
complaint also talked about
But that's another case. That's not this case.
the
Yeah, that's what-
complaint also talked about the targeting of Asians. So also there's some yellow in there too. Brown and yellow folk.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you look at, Seattle area, Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
huge amount of Asian, Southeast Asian.
The thing I was going to ask, to get it back onto this case,
Yeah.
this was a U.S. citizen, so don't we have the right to privacy?
Absolutely. Well,
And then let me go once further. He identified himself and had paper or a license or some sort of identification that he could identify himself as a U.S. citizen. Why did he get taken at all?
okay, here you go. I'm going to put my legal hat on real quick. You don't have a federal right to privacy. So the Bill of Rights does not grant you privacy rights necessarily.
Okay.
Okay, what it gives you the right to is the right not to be seized without suspicion or cause. And
Which is what they did.
which is what they did. Now, what they're saying is that wait a minute, I don't know if you're a citizen. All I see is that you look like the type of people who are not citizens.
Now,
That's their
did
position.
he have identification? From what I understood, he had identification.
Well, he was proclaiming to them, like, I don't carry my passport with me. I'm a citizen, but the only way you can establish I'm a citizen is by my passport.
Yeah, but if he had a state ID, that's a stepping stone to proving that he's.
No, because
No.
Not to
because
them.
because Minnesota and Washington allow people who are not citizens to get driver's licenses because you want them
To be able to work.
to be licensed, so so that they can go through some vetting process
Mm-hmm.
to use your roads. So people have driver's licenses. There's no citizenship card.
No, I know. The only thing is
Is the passport.
Yeah.
And so like,
and nobody cares. About
nobody who carries their passport.
Yeah.
So then the ICE is saying like, well, I don't know if the guy is a citizen, so I'm going to stop him. And the guy says, well, I'm a citizen. And then ICE says, well, I'm going to take you into custody for a couple of hours. You can prove it to me.
So I was talking.
Can you believe
So now,
that?
so let me make this clear.
Yeah.
What you're telling me is right now the federal government has the right to take any individual off the street for any amount of time to prove that you're a citizen if they believe that you're not.
For any amount of time, I would say no. But I would say under the law.
How long have some of those people been in custody?
I think under the law they can keep them up to 24 hours to 48 hours before they have to produce them to a judge.
Okay.
Okay. So I okay.
And they can do that with any person here without any reason, disrupt our lives and our privacy and our rights entirely.
Based on my read of what they're doing.
Mike's about to blow his top.
I know. Yeah.
Not yet. I'm on the way there, but I'm not yet.
But based on my read of what they're doing, that's the justification they're advancing. And no one can do anything about it other than judges. For example, that's why ACLU's brought this class action.
Yeah, ACLU brought this in Minnesota because of the stuff that they're doing.
And they're not asking for money.
No.
They're not saying, give us $1,000 or $1 million. They're saying, judge, issue orders telling them to stop. Now, I don't think they'll even follow the court's orders.
No, I know. Well, that's... Yeah.
Well,
we haven't gotten all the way.
But so I was at my dad's and stepmom's house over the weekend, and they had listened to
The other one.
first podcast and were pointing out, all the errors that Mo made on the facts.
God.
We
I
all,
was reading.
we all made some.
I was reading the sequence of facts based on the reports.
Anyway, let me just say this. First of all, my dad is 92. My stepmom is 85. My dad survived Nazi Germany and immigrated when he was 7. My stepmom is Black from the South. We were just talking. She was reading the Maurice White book I gave her, and she was telling me about when she had to go pick cotton as a little kid. And so to say that they're upset about this is an understatement. My dad used the words Gestapo several times. They feel hunted. They feel like the country is just devolving. They feel hopeless. They are having a hard time looking at the news. They are just absolutely devastated because, especially my dad, well, both of them, they lived through persecution and thought that was in the rearview mirror. And here it is in full bloom. I want to just take a public service announcement and tell people, if you do not belong to the ACLU, why not? Sign up and support them, because this is the most critical work for us. When my dad said Gestapo, and I grew up having to watch every single World War II movie in the world, with him, because, survivor's guilt. I've read, when we went to the movie theater, it was either an art house movie or World War II. I saw every single one. All I can think of is, what are we going to, are we going to now start tattooing people? Are they going to have to wear badges to say I'm a U.S. citizen, or I am not, I am an undocumented? Is that what's going to have to happen? Because I guarantee you there are people that are U.S. citizens that are Somalian of descent or Latino that are now having to carry their passports around because they're going to be worried that they're going to be stopped and asked to explain who they are to the satisfaction of this tyrant's monkey soldiers.
What somebody said to me was like, when I was saying that these metropolitan cities are effectively operating like pseudo police states, and that these are police states where you have armed police roaming the streets and stopping people at random. And their pushback was, "Hey, look, this is you're making this political, and this is about politics, and this is where I really pushed back, and I was like, no, bollocks. I push back because the rights that they're violating defy politics.
We don't care who's in power that's doing this.
Because what's going to stop the next guy who says, you know what? I want the list of every federal law enforcement agent who was involved in these things. And I'm now the popular guy. I am going to go raid all their homes because they were violating the rights of citizens, and I'm going to go ahead and violate their rights.
Well, I kind of like that one.
No. This is the problem. The problem is that when you let law enforcement run around and not respect the Bill of Rights, you don't have to look too far in history to realize that people are targets of oppression depending who the political majority is. And sometimes there's swings, man. And like, you know what? They're not occupying, law enforcement is not occupying like Bismarck, Dakota, or like Sioux City, Iowa. They're not occupying those little towns or Beaumont, Texas. They're occupying left progressive town like Minneapolis and Los Angeles, and it's just a matter of swinging politics. And then you go, well, the Bill of Rights don't matter. That's why the ACLU is so important, because they come in and say, put your political horse shit aside, and you got to stand up for the Bill of Rights. It's so I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for, what you're allowing to happen.
Yeah, but you end up in this situation when you be careful like that, because that's what the Democrats have done for years now. And where are we? Right here in a police state, being treated like people were in Germany after the war, in South America, in China. Yeah, there's plenty of examples that we can go out through history of an oppressive government being formed and then taking over and
Israel,
causing even more problems.
I mean,
I will. Now I'm gonna get a lot of slack.
I'm gonna say I don't. You keep trying to ride this line of saying we got to be in the middle. Well, it doesn't work in the battle that you're in right now.
But Mike, like the fact of the matter is like we are a country of citizens, and there are people who are on the other side of the view that say we think this is right. They are.
I understand that.
Okay, so at the end of the day,
that's what most battles are fought over.
But they're still our people. This is
are they?
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, it's that if you start to say us versus them, because I'm gonna get so much heat for this, but I'm gonna say it.
Go ahead.
Look.
You know why he keeps saying that? Because he's so much buddies with a bunch of conservative people.
No, it's not that I'm buddies with a bunch of conservative people. It's that I'm buddies with people who say, hey, during the pandemic, I felt oppressed. Like I couldn't do anything because the government put so much restrictions on movement, on activity, and I was subjected to it. And people were like, well, that was necessary. And now we know a lot of the stuff that was a lot of the fear, a lot of the concerns were not necessarily as precise as was predicted.
Okay, we can't go into the pandemic.
No,
yeah,
what I'm saying is that I'm trying to speak. There are people who actually listen to this podcast who also represent other viewpoints.
Well, here's the problem.
I understand other viewpoints.
Here's the deal, right? The issue here is there is an end that is sought. Okay. Maybe I don't believe in that end. Maybe you don't believe in that end. Maybe you don't believe in that end. And maybe other people do. Or maybe you do believe in that end. It's the means. The means is in direct conflict with our Constitution. And what you see here are people that are touting the Constitution on one hand and then completely, just ignoring it on the other hand. Constantly. It puts the judges in a tremendously difficult place because they're trying to uphold the law and the Constitution, and then they're being basically ignored or overridden or threatened and assaulted. So that's the repercussion.
And not just threatened, they're threatened by the U.S. presidency.
Yeah.
Often.
It is the rule of law. What are some of the quotes about civilization and the rule of law? When you are eroding the rule of law, which is happening here and has been happening at a significant pace of escalation, then the whole system is in danger. Then you result in chaos. Then you result in brute force winning. Then you result in true Gestapo.
And in response to what you were saying about conservative views, all of those people, if they voted for Donald Trump once or twice, I will fault them for the first time as well. They are accepting that laws don't matter anymore. Because that government is doing that. That government is blatantly taking away our rights.
Okay, he's now gone over the edge.
No, I hear what Mike is saying.
And
what Mike is saying is you reap what you sow. You lay your bet.
And you could argue. I mean, this has been perpetuated forever.
Yeah,
you could go back to when I first was aware of politics and say that it was whatever administration, whatever side was in control at that time is the one at fault. But that's not what matters. At some point, the people that are causing the problem have to capitulate a little bit to the people who are being affected by the problem.
Now I believe in elections. So I think in November we're gonna see.
It'll be interesting. Guys. I
believe in elections. I think elections will tell us what the people want. But I think they're going to change.
Can I just say this shouldn't be a political podcast?
I would say it's what the
It's not a
people are
political
told to
podcast.
want.
And can I just tell you
about
that
the Bill of Rights.
I have no faith in the people at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't. I have no faith in the people because look at the society we live in and how information comes in.
Yeah, we're
and goes
controlled
out.
by a massive information matrix.
Have you guys watched that show Pluribus on Apple?
No.
Yes, I have.
The aliens come in and they take over everybody's soul and mind, and everybody's just a we, and they just do what the collective wants. I mean, that's the problem. The collective, what is the basis of the collective? At least we have a concrete document. We have the Constitution. We have laws that we have put into place.
Not currently.
But we are not following them. And we're paying, the tax, all of us in this room, and everybody listening that pays taxes is funding this mechanism. We live in a country where we are authorizing these basically buffoon terrorist police officers or whatever to go in and harass and attack people based upon their skin color.
Okay.
I think that's gross.
I'm sorry both of you don't have that much faith. I am literally a child of the revolution. I am.
And look at where your country is.
I know. But
And our country is currently being led by an Islamophobe who would want you deported.
I know that.
I know
that.
You
I know that. I know that.
You can't even go visit your family because
I know.
you could probably not
Yeah.
get back.
What would
to the
happen if you
country.
went to Iran right now? Would you be able to get back?
I would have problems in Iran, and I'd probably have
Where
problems coming
has the
back.
progress been?
Well, I think there's
Sorry.
been.
Let's
there
give
is-
him a chance to
I
answer.
know you guys are just.
We are like
We're just hammering you from both sides.
you were a child of war, and there's still war.
Okay, because
And you're how old? 70? Like how old are you again?
70. I'm 70 years old.
Many decades
I'm
have
in
passed.
my 40s.
He's the youngest of us all.
Are you
I'm
on
the
this
y-
side of 40 or the?
I'm young 40s. Okay, all right.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, all I know is that I've grown up in war.
Yeah.
I've grown up in poverty.
Yeah.
And what I have faith in is that like I just look at history and I go, health, lifespans have significantly improved. Poverty levels have risen over the decades. We have a safety net, even though we're struggling to keep it and we're fighting for it. People live better lives today than they did decades ago. And I know that like what this administration
You
is
gotta
doing.
say some people.
Well,
Yeah, I was
some
going to say,
people-
not all
No,
people.
but I know that.
Some
But I know
people.
that I came from poverty, and I know that like that the idea that I was able to lift myself up. It had a great measure to do, not just with my own abilities, but the kindness and grace of my community that is incredibly diverse, of a diverse religious and political background. and people who giving me little nudges, little lifts. You know,
let me just segue.
Can I just finish very quickly?
Let him finish.
But what I want to say is that what is happening right now is an attack on the rights that allowed a person like me to thrive and be an incredible contributing member of society. So, like, what is happening right now is that they don't understand that those rights are what make people come here and excel and make the country a better place. You make it a little bit better. That's my concern. It's not about politics. It's about, like, it really does provide an opportunity. And so when it gets into the political thing, I feel like I don't want to lose the people who, like, are, you know, I mean, some of my people I know,
Agreed.
you know,
Agreed.
I don't want to lose those people, you know, because they're supportive of these principles.
Can I just say on the topic of hope and faith and goodness of human nature, which I actually believe in, despite all evidence to the contrary in what's going on here. Yesterday, the Seattle School District, did you see what they did? Mm-hmm. They basically called hover in place, keep inside the building, because they watch and they had seen some suspicious activity. The ICE was coming. You know, I mean, how gross is that? That ICE goes to elementary schools to try to arrest parents who are going to go pick up their kids, or maybe arrest the kids themselves. So I can't remember the huddle in place or
shelter in place.
Shelter in place.
It's a shelter in place.
They issued shelter in place orders in the Seattle School District. And so I just want to say that, as appalled as I am by everything, I am so grateful that I live in Seattle. I am so grateful that we have a community here that wants to protect people that come from other countries, many who are just fleeing for their lives and who we're supposed to provide a safe haven for. I do really respect, and I am so sorry for Minnesota, Minneapolis, I mean, to be such a center of, I mean, first George Floyd, I mean, and now this. It's like, I feel for that community. I think our only hope is for communities to rise up and protect.
And that's what the ACLU is doing.
Yeah, I really, really applaud them.
So the ACLU's lawsuit is seeking to stop the behavior. What I'm interested to see is that the judge certifies the class. He's going to issue what's called a preliminary injunction. Because they've asked for immediate relief. He's going to issue an order saying you cannot do X, Y, and Z. You have to do A, B, and C. And then what's going to happen is that they're going to appeal that. And they're going to appeal it to say, no. We are allowed under this, under what we believe to be the executive's authority, to behave this way.
Can they remove it? They're going to remove.
No, it is in federal court. They're going to appeal it to the 8th Circuit.
Okay.
And then what happens?
And then the 8th Circuit will probably do an emergency oral argument and decide whether to leave. If the district court judge issues an injunction. An injunction is an order that directs and guides behavior. They can say, we want to leave that injunction in place, maintain the status quo, so that we can find out exactly what happened, whether rights were violated, and then you can ask for a more permanent injunction. The 8th Circuit can say, no, we're going to remove the stay. Because once the district judge issues a stay, what will happen is that then the ICE agents cannot act the way the lawsuit is saying they're not supposed to act without violating a federal court order.
And if they uphold it, what happens?
Uphold it? What do you mean? Uphold?
If the 8th Circuit says we agree with them
to stop this.
And what would the government do then?
They'll take it up to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's already happened a few times, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Los Angeles one, they lost. Mm-hmm. And it goes up, unfortunately, on these, it may go up on a shadow docket, which is a docket that doesn't get a lot of visibility, how decisions are made. Or it may ask them to come in and fully argue it.
And if that happens, do the ICE agents get to keep operating the way they are until a decision's made, or do they have to stop doing it until the decision's made?
That's always is whether or not the judge's preliminary
injunction.
order is stayed in place.
Okay.
Or it's vacated. Because sometimes they'll say you can still go ahead and proceed with your lawsuit, but ICE gets to do what it wants
That's my
until
point,
you
yeah.
figure out the facts. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's ask another question then. This has been a long one.
I know.
You have one more question?
One more question.
One more question? I don't.
Well, our hats are off to the ACLU. Go get them.
Yes.
Yes, go get them. You got my support.
Mine too.
Well, that's all for today.
Until next time.